Hi, everyone. I want to introduce myself. My name's Jessica. If I haven't met any of you yet, I'm one of the health coaches, and this is Gwen,
Hey, everybody.
one of our other health coaches. And we wanted to start off this recording saying thank you for being flexible for this event. We can't control the weather, and we want to make sure we're keeping everyone safe for the possible snow that may be happening. So we're going to do this through the web, and we hope you all enjoy it and stay till the end. Um, what our presentation today is going to consist of is kickstarting your new year. Now, if you were with us last year, last January, we focused on detoxification, and this year we are too, as well as digestion. So we have some new information in this presentation we're going to go over today. So we hope you all stick around with us, and we will get started. Okay, so always love to think about what brought you here tonight. So it may be a desire that you want to feel better, have a change in your life, experience more energy. Maybe you want to try something new, have less pain, or be part of a community. You may also be curious to learn more about your body and maybe see what P3 is all about. You may also be here tonight, especially if you're watching this online, because one of your loved ones is watching it. So whatever reason brought you here tonight, we're glad you're here and glad you're being a part of it with us. So our agenda, we're really going to focus on detoxification, where toxins come from, how to best support your own detoxification system. We're going to talk about bitters as well and digestion. Then really getting back to which detox program can be right for you, the support you'll get from us at P3, and a way for you to win a detox kit. So first of all, since you're all at home, you'll either receive this recording through email or on our Facebook group. And in both spots, you'll have a PDF of the document you see here. It's right here. It's the Metabolic Detoxification Questionnaire. We want you to pause this recording for a few minutes and fill out both sides. It's two-sided, and then you'll come up with a score at the end. This will be important as we're talking about the different detoxification kits that we have and making sure you're getting the right one that's best for you. Okay, so I'm going to throw it over to Gwen to talk about detox, then I'll be back in a little bit to talk about bitters.
Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so why do we need to detox? And do we really need to detox? Yes, we do. So talking about why and do we really need to detox, our environment, food and water sources, and the air we breathe are laden with toxins. Our bodies naturally detoxify, but the toxic load is far too high for most people nowadays because we're getting it from so many places. We're kind of being bombarded in many areas. Genetics are another factor that can impact our body's ability to detoxify. And that just means that sometimes genetically we have less ability to detoxify effectively or efficiently. Common symptoms would be generalized muscle aches, difficulty concentrating, general fatigue, food allergies or chemical sensitivities, irritability, headaches, lethargy and weakness, abdominal pain, and constipation. These are all signs that detoxification needs to happen. The definition and the source of toxic or toxin burdens. Toxin burdens is the total accumulation of toxins that the body is dealing with. These toxins come from a variety of sources, but initial exposure begins while a baby is still in the womb. And we're going to show you some really good studies on that. But the most important part of this is to let you know that toxins accumulate, and that there was a study done and it showed that there were 287 chemicals detected in umbilical cords of newborn babies. 180 of the 287 chemicals found are known to cause cancer in humans or animals. 217 are toxic to the brain and the nervous system, and 208 were shown to cause birth defects or abnormal development in animal tests. So as you can see from these studies, this was a benchmark investigation of industrial chemical pollutants and pesticides in umbilical cord blood. That was from the Environmental Working Group, July 14th, 2005 study. And so you can see that we don't want to have a buildup of these toxins when they cause such pretty intense health issues. So exposure to toxins, the CDC is the Center for Disease Control, and their fourth national report on human exposure to environmental chemicals tested 212 chemicals, and they found all of them to be in blood and urine of most Americans. Every 2 years, the CDC conducts the chemical study, which identifies human exposure to toxic chemicals. This year, 75 new chemicals were added to the assay that had never before been studied in the US population. Every chemical tested in the study, including the 75 new ones, was found to be present in most or all of the study participants. So as you can see, we are absorbing these chemicals. And another thing to make note of is that the EPA allows many, like hundreds of chemicals to be added to the consumer without testing being done. So these are just the ones that they were tested, that we're finding this out of. So exposure to toxins. There are 6 chemicals that were virtually in all subjects. I'm not going to pronounce all of these, so I'm going to give you the short little snip on these. PDEs, BPA, PFOAs, acrylamide, mercury, and MTBE. So where are these toxins coming from? The ones we just mentioned. So the PDEs, they're used as flame retardants, known to build up in the human fat tissue. They cause damage to the nervous system, liver, and kidneys. And studies implicate these PDEs in causing sexual dysfunction, thyroid problems, and brain disorders. So one of the things is that throughout our daily life, we are in constant contact with these environmental toxins, leading to health concerns in a variety of areas. So this is one that we're looking at. The next one is BPA. It's found in plastic products and can linings. Primary human exposure through food packaging and plastics. More than 90% of the people tested by the CDC were found to have BPA in their bodies. Plastic products and can linings, they line the can with this BPA in order for the food to slip out easier. So you can find canned goods that do not have this BPA lining. More than 90% tested were found to have it in their bodies. It's widely used in manufacturing polycarbonate plastics, and humans appear to be exposed primarily through food packaging. BPA, again, is a reproductive development and systemic toxicant in animal studies. So it's not something that we want to have in our bodies. So one way is to reduce the amount of plastic that you're exposed to. That's a really important thing to remember. BPA has been found to be a reproductive, developmental, and systemic toxicant in animal studies. Is weakly estrogenic. There are questions about its potential impact on children's health and the environment. So BPA, how does that impact us as human beings? It can affect your thyroid. We have an epidemic of thyroid disease in our country. Endocrine system, so that can affect your body's ability to utilize hormones correctly. Fertility, we have a large population of the US population that is having a very difficult time with pregnancy, trying to get pregnant, and hormonal cancers. So the PFOA is used in non-stick cookware, stain-resistant clothing, certain food packaging, and other heat-resistant products. Studies verify that these PFOAs contribute to infertility and other reproductive problems, causes liver and immune system dysfunction, also associated with this product. So if you have Teflon pans, this is what we're talking about. Teflon needs to be removed from your home. Get new pans, stainless steel, glass, or a really good quality ceramic coated pan is much better. So we're going to show you a little clip of a documentary called The Devil We Know, to show you some information that's troubling or troublesome about Teflon and the industry and all of that. So
Absolutely. Okay. And this one. Okay.
Consumer products sold under the Teflon brand are safe. DuPont did, in fact, ask EPA to make those statements, correct? That's correct.
When I was pregnant with Bucky, I worked for DuPont around Teflon. They tried to blame me. They said it was something that I did. The more they would tell me that, the more suspicious I got.
You did see there was a substantial risk to the women at the DuPont plant.
There was no potential risk to the women. There was a potential risk to the fetus.
It's used in consumer products, manufacturing products. The applications were endless. These Teflon and Scotchgard chemicals permeated the living world. Today, every baby is born with Teflon chemicals in their blood.
DuPont and another company called 3M had been studying this chemical dating back to the 1950s and 1960s.
Did you work with a lot of other people that have been sick or died early?
Carol Kaplan, Jim Broadwell, Joy Weaver, Steve Bailey, Lona Carr. They are aware of the risk of the product.
Risk is relative.
If I go out here and sprinkle arsenic around, they'd arrest me for murder.
Lied, and they're still lying.
Everybody in this area, in one way or another, is connected to DuPont. You go dealing with somebody's livelihood, you're going to have problems.
There was a discussion about, do we need to come up with something in our production that's not going to cause these problems? They conclude, if we launch something new, it's going to cost us a lot of money. We have to stick with the devil we know. Was I a guinea pig? What do you think?
Okay. Here we go.
Okay, so one thing that we really want to emphasize here is we're not trying to freak anybody out, but you do need to be educated as a consumer, and that these toxic burdens, they're real. And so what we're really here to share as we continue on, and you'll see towards the end, is that we have a lot that we can do to protect ourselves and rid ourselves of these toxins. So we just want to encourage you that we're going to end on a positive note. So the next one we want to look at is acrylamide. And these are chemical carcinogens that are formed when carbohydrate foods are cooked at high temperatures, like French fries, fried chicken, and coffee. Used in plastics, cosmetics, and water treatment products. It's a perpetual exposure linked to cancer and neurological dysfunction. So, you know, at P3, we're always talking to you about the quality of foods that you eat, the nutritional density, and again, how you cook them, and, you know, making sure that you're not drinking too much coffee. If you think about coffee and how much we consume, we need to be mindful of the toxins that we're exposed to in these foods. And then there's mercury. Most common exposures are seafood and amalgam fillings. May cause permanent brain damage. It's a highly toxic chemical. Vaccines are commonly have mercury called thimerosal in the formulation. So if you are getting vaccines, you do need to make sure that you have a vaccine that does not have mercury in it, and you can ask for that. The other thing to know about mercury is it can cause permanent brain damage. So it's a highly toxic substance. Then we have MTBE. This is a gasoline additive, and it is not currently used today in the United States, but it's detected in most Americans' bodies, even though it hasn't been used for years. So when we talk about toxins and how they are accumulative, they stack up. So if we aren't doing something proactively to purge these from our bodies, we could have been exposed to them a long, long time ago and yet still show up in our blood. Also, they're in the soil and the water, so we continue to be exposed. Additional exposure from secondhand cigarette smoke. So if you're around secondhand smoke, this is another area that you can still be getting this, and it causes neurological and reproductive problems. So what conditions and disease are associated with excessive toxic burdens? We've got, these are just a few, but allergies and asthma, diabetes, obesity, chemical sensitivity, fibromyalgia, Parkinson, bone marrow cancers, chronic infections, autoimmune diseases, fertility problems, and birth defects. And then we want always to assess our home and work environments. So our work environments, especially when we talk about people like firefighters, hairdressers, mechanics, there are certain people that work in industries where they're going to have a greater exposure. And then other people, just even in an office, fluorescent lights, you can be exposed to chemicals and solvents, agricultural sprays, exhaust fumes, mold from water damaged buildings in your home or at work. So everybody needs to just kind of assess their work environment to know the risk that they have. So here we're going to give you a little spotlight on research when it comes to toxins. So this was a study done by the Environmental Health Perspectives in 2006, and the link between the exposure to the common toxin dioxin and type 2 diabetes is growing ever more evident. And so really in layman's terms, what that means is that they saw a direct correlation to having dioxin and the increase in type 2 diabetes. It was quite profound. So where dioxins are present in farm-raised fish, dairy products, and beef, and where you're getting this from is from the their feed, water, burnt sewage, and they treat the wood that they use to house these big farm lot animals with PCP, and that's where dioxin is also coming from. So again, at P3, we're always talking about the quality of your food, you know, getting grass-fed and wild-caught fish. Based upon analysis of the data from the NHANES, which stands for the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, it reported a strong relationship between urine concentrations of bisphenol A and the incidence of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and liver enzyme abnormalities in a representative sample of the adults in the US population. So, cosmetic and personal care products. Only 2 pages exist of federal legislation to regulate the US cosmetic industry, and that industry is valued at $62 billion in 2016. The European Union has banned over 1,400 ingredients that they found to be very bad for us, carcinogenic, and Canada has banned nearly 1,600 ingredients, while the US has banned 30. So we have to be really careful of what we're putting on our skin, what we're using in our laundry. It showed that women this was back in 2016, I would say it's probably greater now, but women use 12 of these products per day, men 6, and teenage girls 17 products a day. And we're getting toxins from this. So it's a big deal. We're going to show you this little video, another very interesting video.
Lake Mead, created by the Hoover Dam, is one of the largest reservoirs in the world.
It's a pretty important reservoir for the Southwest United States. It provides drinking water for Arizona and California and Nevada.
Now scientists say Lake Mead, along with water supplies across the country, providing at least 41 million Americans with drinking water, is tainted with trace amounts of pharmaceuticals, including steroids, narcotics, and birth control.
Just about anything we put in our bodies is only used to a certain extent, and medicines is certainly no exception. So if you have a headache and you take ibuprofen, Tylenol, Advil, if it's birth control pills, or just about anything you might consume, only a portion of that active ingredient actually is consumed by your body and metabolized, and the rest is excreted as waste.
In upstate New York, recent surveys turned up more than 15 drugs in the water system that eventually ends up in New York City. Some residents decided to test their tap water themselves.
There are products leaching into the system that the city or the state or the government are not attending to, and that it could reach a faucet like mine without us knowing about it.
The drugs cannot currently be removed at most wastewater treatment plants, and in-home filtration systems probably don't remove the pharmaceuticals either. It's still not known what kind of impact, if any, the trace amounts have on people, but researchers examining life in Lake Mead say they do believe it's affecting fish.
We found that fish exposed to contaminants in the wastewater have reduced testicular growth and reduced sperm quality and altered hormone ratios.
Translation? Some male fish are becoming female and even growing eggs. You can't ask people to stop taking their medication, so officials say the best way to deal with this problem is to improve wastewater treatment. But wastewater officials say without evidence of human health impact, it's hard to justify the energy and money needed to change the system.
Our personal approach here at Orange County is that we really think there should be some program that brings it back to either the distributors or the manufacturers.
For their part, pharmaceutical companies say trace amounts of drugs pose little to no public risk. But the Environmental Protection Agency has already changed age-old consumer guidelines for getting rid of unused medicine. Instead of flushing drugs, the EPA now says most should be tossed in the trash. Haven Daily, The Associated Press.
So that's just another example of how we're seeing these chemicals entering our water system, and us as consumers being very vulnerable to ingesting them, even if we're not taking them ourselves orally. So just another thing to be aware of, and to make sure that you do at least try to get some good filtered water filters on your showers. That's helpful. Okay, so the disease rates in the United States, this was done way back between 2011 and 2015, this study was done. 1 in 59 children with autism spectrum disorder. So obesity prevalence, there was child obesity, it was 18.5% of those US people, and then adults were 39.8% to be found obese. 1 in 10 infants are born preterm. Infertility impacts were 9% of men and 11% of women. So these numbers keep going up, and the projection is for them to continue to increase. So what can you do? And that's why we brought you here, not just to tell you the woe part of it, but to give you, empower you that there is something that you can do. So remember, this reality is not at all our doom and gloom. So we're just glad you're here to learn what you can do. We can reduce your exposure to toxins in the environment. So how do we do that? We focus on chemical-free products in our home. So you want to get soaps and detergents, cleaning products, air fresheners, candles, and dryer sheets. Those all are areas where they can be high with these toxic chemicals. So we need to make sure that we're bringing in these kind of products that don't have high chemical toxicity in them. You can reduce chlorine and fluoride exposure by attaching a water filter to your shower and your tap water or your refrigerator, or even getting on-the-counter filters. Eliminate personal products with phthalates and parabens. Evaluate our makeup, our hair dyes, and other beauty products. So how do we reduce the exposure to the toxins in our food and drink? Choose free-range, hormone-free, antibiotic-free meats, eggs, and dairy whenever possible. Choose fresh, cold water fish instead of farm-raised fish. Wash all your produce really well before you eat it, and peeling or cooking your produce. When possible, eat organic produce. So we have some really good resources for you that show you can download these apps onto your phone. So I'm just going to go over a few of them. This is the Seafood Watch, and it's done out of the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And as you can see, it gives you best choices, good alternatives, and then fish that you really should avoid. So right on the right, it tells you how to use the guide. So if you have a smartphone, you can actually download this app, and it's updated every 6 months. And then here's one where we reduce our exposures to toxins by, the EWG stands for Environmental Working Group, and they have a great website that we got this updated list from. So this list shows the dirty dozen. This just means produce that you really should not be eating unless it's organic, because it has a high level of herbicides, pesticides, and maybe fungicides. So that's strawberry, spinach, kale, nectarines, apples, grapes, peaches, cherries, pears, tomatoes, celery, and potatoes. And as you can see from this list, this is foods that we encourage people to eat. So we don't want to encourage you to eat foods that have toxic chemicals. So make sure you do this organically. And then here's the foods that they found. If you can't afford to buy everything organic, go ahead and you can get avocados, sweet corn, pineapples, sweet peas that are frozen, onions, papayas, eggplants, asparagus, kiwis, cabbages, cauliflower, cantaloupes, broccoli, mushrooms, and honeydew melons. Those are the safe ones. Okay, so we have a resource page that is also attached in the documents that you received through this email or on the Facebook page. There it is. And it's going to have a lot of really good resources that you can read and find ways to improve the products that you're using and the things that we're talking about. This is another great app. It's called Healthy Living, powered by Skin Deep and Food Scores. And this is done by EWG. So you can download this and you can literally scan, I think it had 200,000 products, and they'll tell you if they're safe, and they also tell you why. So if it doesn't score well, it's going to tell you why and what it might cause health-wise. Okay, so now we're going to get down to the nuts and bolts of detoxification. So we reduce our exposure to toxins through detoxification. When selecting a detoxification program, we want to rely on approaches that address these well-defined elimination pathways. So on this slide, you're going to see that your pathway consists of your liver, your kidney, and your GI tract, and excreting heavy metals. So in your liver, you have phase 1 and phase 2, and then phase 3 consists of your kidney and your GI tract. And then we want to make sure we're excreting heavy metals. So in the metabolic detoxification, and that's when you're actually moving the toxins through the phase 1, 2, and 3 of the detox system. So you have a toxic exposure, the toxins enter the body. Some are eliminated via your stool or sweat. We eliminate toxins through sweat. That's part of our detox system. And then others are transported to your liver, and the liver will process the toxins, and then they are eliminated via your urine and stool. So we have, like I said, 2 phases to the metabolic detox in our liver. So phase 1, we call that biotransformation. Enzymes in the liver will break down xenobiotics, a process that produces harmful free radicals. So just remember, free radicals, we don't want a lot of those in the body. They need to be moved out. And then phase 2 is conjugation. It creates these molecules that are joined with the modified xenobiotics to produce harmless water-soluble substances. So in layman's terms, in phase 1, the toxin is toxic. And when it moves to phase 2, and it's important for phase 2 to be working because it's going to take that toxic substance and turn it into a water-soluble, non-toxic compound that can be moved through the kidneys and excreted in our urine or our stool. So that's the other part of that. These substances are released to the kidneys or back to the GI tract, okay? And then antioxidants. See all the beautiful colored fruits and vegetables? That's where we get lots of antioxidants in our diet. They support the neutralization of reactive intermediary compounds and other free radicals produced by those phase 1 enzymes. Remember I said in phase 1, sometimes it gets very toxic. So antioxidants are extremely important for creating that, changing that chemical to a non-toxic chemical. So comprehensive vitamin profile, including vitamins A, C, E, and B vitamins, help neutralize reactive intermediary compounds. And then you need a lot of energy to do this at a cellular level, and pantothenic acid supports the production of this energy to power these reactions. So phase 3, transport proteins. The water-soluble substances are excreted via the urine and the stool, and this has to do with your protein. If they are not excreted, they recirculate and can be stored. So we don't want toxins being pushed but not excreted. We want them out, not recycling in our bloodstream. So remember, metabolic detoxification normalizes the body's ability to metabolize, neutralize, and excrete these potentially harmful substances, while temporarily reducing any income potentially harmful chemicals or pollutants. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this over to Jessica to talk to you. We said we were going to give you new information on digestion, which is important because of the GI tract. So I'm going to turn this over to Jessica to talk about bitters.
Perfect. Okay, so let's discuss bitters. So thinking about bitters way back, even before industrial agriculture, our diets really consisted a lot of wild plants and bitter foods. Really, any root or green leaf is going to be considered a more bitter food. But currently, that bitter flavor is really lacking in our diet. If you just think about now what you ate in the last day, last week, maybe last month, when have you had something bitter to eat? Now with our agriculture and the Industrial Revolution, we have a lot more sweet, salty, and processed foods that are way more popular in our diet than the bitter foods. So with bitters, our bodies are really built for that bitter flavor, even though we tend to not have a lot of it in our diet currently. So bitter really excites our whole digestive system, starting with our tongue. And all of our digestive organs get activated and start to secrete digestive juices to prepare for that incoming food. So that is a big help with bitters in digestion. Every cell in our body actually has a bitter cell receptor, and the high concentrations can be found in our tongue, stomach, pancreas, liver, lungs, heart, and our blood vessels. There are lots of benefits with bitters, but these are kind of the 4 main ones. So stimulates the vagus nerve, and again, that's really what's helping to turn on those functions for our digestion and our GI tract. It's going to really help to produce the digestive juices and enzymes. It aids in liver detoxification, what Gwen has been educating you all on so far today, and really helps to increase bile flow. That excretion part she was really focusing on, that we don't want those toxins to stay in our system. This is where bitters can be really helpful with the liver and detoxification. It's going to help to remove that metabolic waste. Regulates blood sugar and insulin production, as well as stimulates self-repair mechanisms for the gut wall. So pretty much bitters, hopefully they're sounding amazing to every one of you who is listening. Now, how do you take bitters? What do you do with them? Ideally, you want to take them 10 to 15 minutes before meals and snacks, again, to help that digestive process start. Doses wise, you can start with about 5 to 10 drops and increase until you really feel like your digestive system is turning on. Now, if you go too far and you're experiencing any nausea, we would want you to reduce that dose. The only people that we really say to stay away from bitters or that wouldn't be supportive for you are women who are pregnant, and also anyone with moderate to severe inflammatory bowel disease. And if you're not sure, just talk to one of your healthcare providers, and we can certainly get you situated with if bitters would be supportive for you. And then I'm going to turn it back to Gwen to finish on detoxification.
Okay, so I love this slide that we put together because this is super important. You must be having a daily bowel movement. You have to be pooping. If you're not pooping, we have to get you pooping before you start a detox, because that is eliminating. We get these toxins moving through the body. We have to get them out. So before starting any detox program, you must have your daily BM. Okay. All right. We're going to go over the products that we really like that have great scientific and clinical efficacy, that they work well. So the first one we're going to talk about is Metagenics, the clear change difference. If you have done this in the past, or if you're new, the benefits to this, you're going to feel much better energy, less tired, less foggy headed. You will not be coffee dependent, fewer sugar cravings, and less water retention. You'll just feel really great after you finish this detox. So remember how you did the questionnaire. This is where I want you to pull your questionnaire out. If your score was below 50, you have mild symptoms and you should do the 10-day detox. If you score 50 or above, you have severe symptoms and you really do need to do the 28-day program. If you had a high score and you tried to do the 10-day program, it's going to push the toxins too fast and hard, and you will feel lousy the whole time. So the whole purpose of the 28-day is to do a gentler, slower, longer detox so that you can function and go about your day without feeling poor. Okay, so how do we get started? There's a 3-step protocol in the Metagenics detox program. The first one is initial clearing. The day 1, you'll start to eliminate certain foods from your diet, and then you'll gradually increase the nutritional supplementation that comes in the detox kit. We want you to eat fresh or frozen vegetables and fruits that are grown organically. And we always suggest when you're going to start these detoxes to try and start on a Monday so that you have time to rest over the weekend. Now, that being said, if you're somebody who you have weekends off midweek, you need to adjust for that, okay? Oops, I think, there we go. Okay, step 2, metabolic detoxification. So step 1, you're getting ready for the body to be able to detoxify. In step 2, this is where detoxification is actually happening metabolically. So one of these days, you'll be eating just select foods from a variety of low allergy potential foods. And in this detox, the kit is very, very good at showing you this. You get a guide, and there'll be a list of all the foods that you can eat. And these core foods that you're going to be eating specifically during the metabolic detox portion will say core food, and there'll be a gray box around it. And you'll be increasing your intake of these nutritional supplements. And these will come in the form of a shake and one supplement that you're going to take along with your fish oil and your probiotics. You can eat as much as you would like from the allowed food groups during this program. So this isn't necessarily a weight loss. Some people do lose weight, but it's not meant to be where you're starving and you're hungry. So if you're hungry, feel free to eat from the approved foods. And then the third step is after you've eliminated some of these foods that can typically cause food sensitivities or inflammation, you'll slowly be able to reintroduce them. So we have in our packet that we sent you this little sheet. It's called the reintroduction sheet. And it lists the symptoms that you may have experienced on your metabolic sheet. So if you start to reintroduce one food at a time slowly, it has directions to at the very bottom how to do this. But then you're going to be looking for the symptoms that you experienced prior to doing your detox. If you experience any of those, you don't want to introduce that food yet. You can wait another 3 or 4 weeks and then try again. So if you don't have any symptoms, then you would eat that food in a small quantity, like a serving of that food once every 3 or 4 days. We don't want you eating it multiple times during a day or every day in a row because it can cause the inflammatory response to kick in. So a tip, weight loss can often occur, but isn't the main goal of this program. You can experience greater energy, improved sleep and digestion, which will all contribute to long-term goals. So for people who do want to start losing weight, detoxes are a great way to kickstart a weight loss program because you're kind of eliminating those foods that are difficult, like caffeine and sugar and processed foods. Those are all taken out. So you go 10 or 28 days without that, and then you're kind of on a good trajectory to keep going. So we like to see people detox before starting to try to lose weight. Okay, then for the busy people, the people that can't do the products where, like on the Metagenics, you will drink at certain times 4 shakes a day. And some people, they don't have the ability to do that. They're on the road a lot or traveling. So we also have this wonderful Zymogen 6-day detox. And again, it supports natural detoxification mechanisms, the body's natural immune response. It will reduce inflammation. It helps with digestion, assimilation, and elimination. It promotes gastrointestinal health, motility, helps to add bulk to stool, and gives you bowel regularity. If you scored over 50 on the questionnaire, The 28-day kit is the right one for you for the Metagenics. If you scored below 50, again, you would do the 10-day. I told you the 10-day, you're going to be drinking 4 shakes per day, and you can take more time to prepare. I'm sorry. So on this shake, they give you a shaker cup with a little spring. So you can either shake your product up if you're going places, or you can use a blender. It's not required. The 6-day plan is geared again towards the busy individual, and it's really easy to travel with. It's 6 days, and I think you do 2 shakes a day. That's it. Okay, so all members will get 20% off their kits and bitters until Friday, January 17th. So again, we know that we have some of you who aren't part of our program here at P3, you're not a member. But if you do have friends or family that want to do this with you, that is also extended to them. So till January 17th, 20% off the kits. So the cost for the Metagenics 28-day plan is $275. Is that including the 20% off, or is that, yeah, that is the 20% off price. The 10-day plan is $115. The Zymogen 6-day plan is $120. You might be asking, well, why is the 6-day more expensive than the 10-day? Well, on the Zymogen, they include all the things you need in the kit. The Metagenics provides you the detox powder and the capsule, the Advoclear, but you do need to take fish oil and a probiotic. So if you don't have those, that would be an additional cost. So you can, what we want you to do is, if you really want to do this and you're seeing this via the web, you're probably wondering, well, how do I order it? How do I get my product? So the way you're going to order it is you're going to email this Jessica at p3life.com to place your order. And you're going to state which kit you want and if you want bitters in the email. If you need fish oil and a probiotic, please tell us and we'll let you know which ones we suggest. And you will also be able to purchase those. So now I'm going to turn it over to Jessica.
Yes, so I'm Jessica. I'm who you'll be emailing. So just make it clear which kit you like. And also if you want the bitters are $22 and those are also 20% off as well. And then when I get the email, our team will process your order and you'll get an invoice like you currently do with anything you purchase at P3. And then what we're saying is the following week, so starting on the 20th, you can come to the office to pick up the products that you ordered. And if coming to the office is a challenge, just put that in the email and we'll work with you for the best way to give you the products in time.
I have a question.
Yes.
So what about the people who aren't members and they don't have like a credit card or a payment on file?
Yep.
How will we handle them?
Yeah, so then we will need to then give you a call so we can get all of your billing information since we don't have it in the system.
So make sure you include a phone number and an email if you're not a member and you would like to purchase the detox. And then we'll get in touch with you.
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to again go over the other support supplements that can be beneficial. Remember we talked about having a bowel movement every day, how important that is. So let's say you're ready to start the detox because you're having a bowel movement every day, but you start it and all of a sudden you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm starting to get plugged up. Magnesium, it supports proper motility. It helps you have that bowel movement. We use my magnesium citrate and we have that listed in our resource guide that you get. So make sure you utilize that. Don't stay plugged up. You got to get the magnesium going. If you need help getting things going prior to starting the detox, again, that magnesium is very, very helpful. Okay, and then the probiotic, the reason you take a probiotic is it's helping to build a good immune system. It's housed in our gut and we need a broad spectrum of microbes and they need to be vibrant and healthy, and that's why we have you take the probiotic. And the fish oil is just going to support lowering inflammation. We want the inflammation to go down and then healing occurs. Okay, and then remember, it's really important, it takes a lot of energy to detox. So you could feel tired or achy or headachy or just not your normal self. And when you feel that way, we want you to rest. We need you to stay hydrated. You got to drink half your body weight in water, ounces of water per day. It's important to drink water, good filtered water. And it's okay to do walking, gentle stretching, really light lifting, but we don't want you doing HIIT training, high intensity or long aerobics or heavy lifting. It's important to do low impact movement, but movement is a very important part because it helps move your lymphatic system. If you do have like one of those little mini trampolines, that's awesome. You can do that twice a day for 5 to 10 minutes. It moves the lymphatic system where all these dead cells and toxins get trapped. So we want you moving. Okay, so now Jessica again is going to come and explain how we're going to support you as you journey on this detox program.
Okay, so this part's a little different than last year as well. One aspect is that now there's 2 of us. There's 2 health coaches. So definitely if you have further questions, especially reintroducing foods, and you want to talk to one of us, just give the office a call and they'll get you booked. We can either do in person or over the phone. And the resource the handout that we highlighted as well, this is a 3-page document with lots of different resources on it and guidance for detox, as well as join us on Facebook. So we have our overall group, the P3 Peak Performance and Prevention, that anyone can join. And then I'm also going to create a P3 Detox support group that's specific to this group. So if you order a detox kit, we can get you linked up with that group and you can ask any questions if you want any support. It's just a really quick way for us to help everyone doing the kits and the programs and getting community support along the way.
I did want to add one thing to that. So normally if we were in person, we would pull out a kit, you'd look, we would walk you through. So I also want to just say, if you get your kit and you're like, I'm really unsure how to start this, you can also call and make either a Skype appointment where we do it online or come in and we'll help you so that you feel confident. Also in the kit, when you open up, if you're doing the Metagenics, there is a great link that you need to sign up for daily support through Metagenics, and they'll give recipes and all sorts of stuff. So definitely when you open that little brochure, if you're doing the Metagenics, there's a place for you to sign up.
Yep. And the Zymogen also has a pamphlet. Both of the products have a pamphlet that really walks you through the foods, what to focus on. So it's all laid out there, but we are absolutely here to help you with that support. And also what you'll be receiving in either the email or on Facebook, we're doing a Survey Monkey this time around, and we would love to get that completed before end of day, Friday, January 17th. And everyone who enters that in and completes the survey will be entered in for a free detox kit. If you're the winner, we'll definitely reach out to you, either email, text, or phone, whatever contact we have for you, and let you choose which kit you would like to pick up the following week. We're also asking in the survey what other topics you would like us to cover throughout the year, so we're really looking forward to hearing that feedback from you all. And that is it.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to starting our year off a little cleaner and less toxic by doing our detox program.
Absolutely. Have a great evening.
Happy New Year.